Deep beneath the molten caves of Mount Drakthar, a faint rumble echoed through the earth. The air shimmered with heat, the rocks glowed red like veins of fire, and within the heart of the volcano, something ancient stirred. Emberfang, the last of the fireborn dragons, opened his glowing amber eyes after centuries of slumber. Each breath he drew in made the walls tremble. His scales shimmered like burning embers, glowing and fading in rhythm with his heartbeat. Outside, the mountain roared to life. Villages miles away felt the tremor. Flocks of birds scattered into the sky as lava began to trickle down the slopes. The people whispered old legends, that when Emberfang awoke, it marked the beginning of the reckoning of flame. Emberfang stretched his massive wings, molten sparks falling from them like shooting stars. He remembered the ancient wars, the betrayal of men, and the extinction of his kin. The world had forgotten dragons, but he had not forgotten the world. His rage burned anew, like a fire rekindled in a dying forge. As he rose from the molten pit, the world above split open with thunder. His roar, deep and ancient, echoed across mountains, rivers, and valleys. The firestorm had begun, and the age of mortals trembled at the return of the dragon god of fire. The once great kingdom of Ardentia lay beneath a blanket of ash. Emberfang's wings darkened the sky as he soared above the ruins. Below, soldiers scrambled with trembling hands, their weapons useless against the inferno. Each beat of his wings scattered burning winds across the land, turning forests into cinders. But among the chaos, a young warrior named Kale watched in awe rather than fear. He had grown up hearing tales of Emberfang, the protector who once kept the balance between dragons and men. What had turned him into this monster of vengeance? Kyle ventured into the heart of destruction, following the trail of fire and screams. Amid the smoke, he found an ancient rune glowing faintly, a symbol of the old dragon pact. When his fingers touched it, visions flooded his mind. The betrayal of mankind, the slaughter of dragon eggs, and Emberfang's curse of eternal fury. Kale realized the truth. Emberfang was not born evil. He was made so. High above, Emberfang sensed the rune's awakening. For the first time in centuries, his fire dimmed. The spark of memory stirred within him, whispering of a time when dragons and humans fought side by side. But the anger inside him was stronger. He unleashed another torrent of flames that painted the sky blood red, even as a single tear of molten sorrow rolled down his scale-covered cheek. Kyle's quest led him to the ruins of the Dragonforge, a place where weapons were once made from dragonfire itself. Guided by the rune's power, he discovered a blade forged from Emberfang's own shed scales, the Flameheart sword. It pulsed with living heat, burning his hands but accepting his will. When Emberfang descended upon the valley once more, Kale stood his ground on the cliffs. The sky burned crimson as their eyes met. One human, one dragon, both bound by destiny and pain. "Emberfang," Kale shouted, his voice breaking against the roar of flames. "Your war is not with the living, it's with the past." For a moment, silence filled the world. The dragon's gaze softened. But then the fire erupted once more. Kale raised his sword, and when the flames met the blade, the fire didn't destroy him, it bent around him. The rune's light glowed through his armor, protecting him as if the spirit of dragons themselves shielded him. The battle began. Emberfang's claws tore mountains apart. Kale's blade cut through fire itself. Thunder crashed, rocks split, and the world watched a mortal challenge a god. Amid the battle's chaos, Kale saw what Emberfang truly was. A creature torn between rage and grief. Beneath the scales and fury, he was a being of sorrow, burdened by loss. Kale pressed forward, not to kill, but to reach him. He plunged the Flameheart sword into the ground, channeling the rune's power to awaken the dragon's true heart. A blinding light engulfed them both. In that instant, Emberfang saw visions of his past, his kin, his hatchlings, the fire-lit skies of old. The hatred began to melt, replaced by an ancient warmth. The flames around the battlefield died down, replaced by a golden glow. But redemption came with a price. The power that once fueled Emberfang began to fade. His wings weakened, his fire dimmed. "You remind me of what I was," the dragon rumbled softly. "Keep my flame alive." With a final roar that shook the heavens, Emberfang released a burst of pure firelight into the sky, a flame that would never die. His colossal form crumbled into embers, scattering across the wind. Years passed. The world rebuilt, forests grew again, and the firestorm became legend. Kyle, now an old man, stood before a shrine built in the dragon's honor. The eternal flame burned within a crystal heart, a fragment of Emberfang's soul. Children, long after Kyle's death, the shrine of eternal flame became a place of pilgrimage. Travelers came from distant kingdoms to see the fire that never died. But one night, the flame flickered for the first time in 100 years. A strange whisper echoed through the shrine, soft, almost mournful. The priests who guarded the flame gathered, fear clouding their faces. The eternal fire twisted, forming shapes in the smoke, dragons battling in the sky, and a shadow swallowing their light. The eldest priest knelt, trembling, and said, "The balance is breaking again." Far beneath the shrine, buried under rock and forgotten for centuries, something ancient stirred. A pulse, a heartbeat of darkness, throbbed deep within the earth. The ashes left behind by Emberfang's battles had absorbed not only fire, but hatred, grief, and despair. Those emotions began to take form, giving birth to a new force, one born of fire's shadow. As dawn broke, the sacred flame turned black for a moment, before flaring red again. The priests prayed louder, but their hearts were filled with dread. For they had seen the sign. The world was about to face the Ashborn, the dark reflection of Emberfang's spirit. In the city of Aloran, a young scholar named Lyra spent her nights studying old scrolls about dragons. Unlike others, she didn't believe dragons were gone. She had grown up hearing her grandmother's stories of Kyle and Emberfang, and deep down she felt their tale was not over. When rumors of the flickering eternal flame reached her, Lyra packed her journals and maps and set out for the mountains. The journey was long. Blizzards howled across the peaks, and bandits haunted the valleys. But her determination burned brighter than any fear. At the shrine, she found devastation. The once bright halls were cracked, scorched, and silent. Only a faint ember glowed at the altar. As she knelt before it, she felt warmth on her palm, followed by a whisper, not from a man, but from the fire itself. "Child of the new dawn, the shadow awakens." The voice was ancient and deep. It was Emberfang's spirit, faint but alive within the last spark. The flame flickered and formed the image of a dragon's eye, staring into her soul. "The world will burn again," it said, "unless the flame finds its heart." Lyra, trembling, vowed aloud, "Then I will find it. I will restore your fire." And at that moment, the ember pulsed, leaving a faint glowing mark on her wrist. The mark of flame, proof that Emberfang's legacy had chosen her. Far to the east, in the desolate lands scorched by Emberfang's final battle, a storm began to gather. From the ashes, a monstrous shape emerged, a dragon darker than night, its scales dripping molten shadow instead of fire. Its wings were torn like smoke, and its eyes glowed a cruel, cold red. This was Ashfang, the shadow born from Emberfang's fury, carrying every ounce of rage, grief, and destruction that the Fireborn had ever unleashed. Where Emberfang's fire gave life, Ashfang's consumed it entirely. He was the embodiment of fire without light, pure, endless destruction. Villages near the Ashen Plains were the first to vanish. Survivors spoke of a storm that moved like a living beast, devouring everything in its path. The sky itself seemed to scream as Ashfang rose higher, his roar splitting the clouds. Meanwhile, in the shrine, Lyra felt the mark on her wrist burning. The flame whispered again, weaker now. He has returned, my darkness. You must awaken the heart fire, or all will turn to ash. Lyra fell to her knees, clutching her arm as visions flooded her mind. Dragons burning, kingdoms falling, and a black shadow devouring the world. Emberfang's legacy had not ended. It was beginning again in a war between flame and its reflection. Guided by ancient runes and Emberfang's whisper, Lyra's quest led her into the Cavern of Echoes, a place said to be where the first dragons were born. The air shimmered with heat and memory. Every sound carried 1,000 whispers of the past. In the heart of the cavern stood an enormous crystal pulsing with light. The heart fire, the source of all dragon flame. But it was fading. Its once golden glow dimmed to a faint orange. Lyra approached it, her mark glowing brighter, and suddenly a massive figure materialized before her. A dragon made entirely of molten stone and light. "I am the Guardian," the creature thundered, its voice echoing like an earthquake. "Who seeks the fire of the ancients?" Lyra bowed deeply, trembling but firm. "I seek to restore Emberfang's flame and stop his shadow." The Guardian studied her for a long moment, then lowered its head. "You carry his mark. But power alone cannot save the world. You must understand the fire, its wrath and its mercy." The crystal flared, engulfing Lyra in a storm of visions. Emberfang's battles, his rage, his sorrow, his final redemption. She screamed as her mind filled with centuries of pain and hope. When it ended, she fell to her knees, tears streaming down.